Alright guys, so this might be a quick one. I got a 2015 Ford Edge. It's been going into like a limp mode. It's been saying on the dash while the owner is driving something like a reduced engine power, something like that. And it usually is the result of the engine temperature exceeding what it's supposed to be, its normal state. So apparently the thermostat on these cars is super common to go bad. So the customer didn't tell me anything about any type of overheating or nothing. She just said her main complaint was the low power, okay? And it had something, the code kept saying something about temperature related. So I told her, okay, we could go ahead and throw a thermostat on it. So put a thermostat on it, and the very next day she calls me, hey, my car is overheating. There was smoke coming from underneath the hood. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I went out to her place to go look at the car because I told her don't drive it. The second I get there, so nothing major happened. It just basically started to overheat, and she turned it off in time. What she was seeing is there is like a pressure relief valve built into the cap, so it started to push out the coolant, and that's what was creating the smoke. Of course, there was coolant on the ground. But she did turn the engine off, and it doesn't seem like there was any damage caused to the engine because of it. I told her I didn't know this thing was overheating, and she's like, well, I didn't know either. I just thought whenever it goes into low power mode and that's it. I didn't know it was because the car was actually overheating. So we're like, okay. So I told her, turn on the AC, because she told me that this problem normally pops up whenever she turns the AC on max. Well, when you turn your AC on, it puts extra stress on the engine. It creates more heat. So that's when she really notices this problem. So I told her to turn the AC on because I wanted to see if the cooling fans turn on. Whenever you turn on the AC, the cooling fans should turn on, and we got absolutely nothing. Okay, so she dropped it off today, and here I am testing the cooling fans because she was like, okay, great, the cooling fans aren't working, let's go ahead and replace them. And I'm like, not so fast. We don't know if it's actual cooling fan that's bad or that we have a wiring problem, because this car was here not too long ago for rodent damage. The windshield sprayers stopped spraying, and every time she pushed the button she could hear the motor, but there was no fluid being sprayed out, and I found that it was just dumping out of here. Basically, when I peel this back, the plastic liner that feeds the fluid to the nozzles was just chewed off by a rodent, like a mouse or a chipmunk or something. This car has an issue with rodent damage, and when I was in doing the job for the thermostat, I did notice that in this lower left hand corner of the bumper, if you take off the fender liner, you could see more signs of rodent damage where they were eating like the insulation, the sound deadening type of stuff. And yes, that area is really close to the fuse box, and you can see there's a bunch of wires down there. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and test before we just throw some cooling fans at this thing. I disconnected the harness that goes to the fan, so this large connector right here, so it looks like brown and black go to one cooling fan and the purple and yellow go to the other cooling fan. So I just used my power probe right here, and I put a ground and a power to the yellow and purple, and this lower cooling fan turned on. Then I put ground and power to the black and the brown, and this cooling fan turned on. So that tells me the fans are fine. The fans work. There's something else going on here, and I'm leaning a lot towards rodent damage, like I said. So anyway, this is the other end of that connector. We tested the end that goes to the fans. This is the end of the connector that feeds that same connector. You can see it's got the same colored wires on it: purple, yellow, black, and brown. Now the black is a ground, and that ground is always there. And when I turn on the high-speed fans, we get a power source on the left pin, top left, which would be purple. But we get absolutely nothing on the brown wire and the yellow wire. And I even tried using my scanner to turn on the low-speed fan, because you could do it individually. You can see right now I'm trying to command on the low-speed fan, and let me go ahead and turn this off. What I noticed is whether you're turning on the low or the high speed fan, it sends power to this pin right here. You could hear that, which would be that same one I was telling you guys, the top left. Let me turn off the beeping noise. I know it's annoying. Okay, so you can see it sends power to that top left pin, but we get absolutely nothing on the two other pins. So we are missing what looks like a power and a ground here, or maybe just a power source, because I'm not sure if It doesn't look like it, but I don't know if that one ground feeds both the fans, even though it doesn't seem like it, because like I said, there's 4 wires and 2 wires go to each fan. So I'm suspecting that brown wire should be a ground, and the yellow wire should be another power source, and we get absolutely nothing. I want to maybe take off this fender liner and look at that rodent damage that I was seeing before. So I got the fender liner down, and this is what I was talking about. You can see all this stuff chewed up. Now when I pour down that liner up there to fix the windshield washer nozzles, this material was inside of there. Like they were pulling this stuff and taking it up there to make a nest with it. But so here's the wires I was talking about. You see there's others down here, but guys, I'm not seeing any signs of damage. I don't see any broken wires and no real signs of, you know, an animal chewing on any of this stuff. Okay, so I pulled out the air intake box and I found that these wires, they go to the fans, they go through the harness, they bend around, and they come into this first connector right here on this fuse box. And I took the cover off, so that's going to be our yellow wire with a red stripe on it, and this brown wire right here in the center is going to be the other wire. So what I want to do is basically do a continuity test just to see if we have any broken wires. So as you can see, I got my lead right there. This one is going on to the brown wire. It's the one we're going to test first. Lower left hand pin. Got it connected to my multimeter, and basically when we find continuity, it'll beep. Okay, so I just showed you guys, and I'm not spreading the terminals or anything, I'm just touching them lightly. Okay, so looking at the other side, this one should be our brown wire, and it is, which means we don't have a broken wire. So the whole rodent thing may not have been what's going on here. So now let's check the yellow wire with a red stripe on it. Looks like it's going to be one of these right here. So let me go ahead and move over my lead. Okay, so now I'm on the top right hand pin, which is going to be the yellow one, and it should be one of these right here. There it goes. Yep. So the 2 wires that aren't getting a power or a ground or whatever it is that they're supposed to be getting, they have continuity all the way from this connector all the way to this like fuse panel, and I don't see any broken or damaged pins. But someone has been in here for some reason, because I could see things that are out of place. Basically, you see that? That's just floating in the air like that. I did not do that. Usually these are pushed into something. You know, the factory does not just waste money on stuff like this. That would most likely go into the hole. You see that little hole down there? This would most likely be inside of there, and I just found it out like that. And then on, where is it? On this harness, this is just floating. This one is also just floating. I did not do this. So these type of attachment points, they typically go on studs like this. So this would slide onto there, and there should be another one somewhere over here. Yeah. So basically, that one that's not held on to anything would most likely go onto one of those studs down there. So I don't know what's the reason, but it definitely seems like someone's been inside of here. So we got 4 wires. 2 of them are working, and 2 of them we have nothing on them, not a power, not a ground. And so far we've established that those wires that we're missing power or grounds to make their way all the way to this connector with continuity. So is it a bad box? Maybe. Because honestly guys, I'm not seeing any signs of rodent damage. I think we were just barking up the wrong tree with that one only based off of previous repairs on this car with rodent damage, but I don't think that's the case that's going on here. This pin right here, and it's not bent or anything, and then the yellow one would be most likely like that pin right there. So, and they all look fine. Alright guys, so I was ready to throw in the towel on this job because I'm like, it's starting to look like it might be a box, you know, and I'm like, oh, I don't really cross that line, you know, it's not my area of specialty, you know what I mean? So I was ready to just put everything back together and just tell the customer, take it to a dealer because it may need a box and I don't want to deal with that. But then I decided to get my relay tester out and just check all the relays. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, guys, I don't have a wiring diagram, and if you look at the cover here for the fuses and the relays, none of it's labeled. Of course, Ford garbage, right? So I just decided to test every single relay, and then when I got to this one down here, which is the one I have right here in the relay tester, if I go ahead and push the button, up, red light, it failed. So I'm like, let me try a different one, because I was thinking maybe this type of relay isn't compatible with my tool, and I have run across that problem before. Okay, so I figured there's another one right below it, and it's the same exact type of relay. Go ahead and pop this in, test, and it failed, red light. So at this point I'm thinking, no, there's no way in heck I got two bad relays. They must not be compatible with my tool, and that's all that's going on, right? So I decided to go on Google and look up the actual relay location for the fan on this vehicle, and I found an image that showed me that these three relays are for the fans. So the one I got removed, this one right here, and this one are all for the fans. I'm like, coincidence that two of the relays that have failed my test happen to be fan relays? So that's when I decided to put in my little jumper. You can see this is my tool right here. It is not a relay. Basically, it just mimics a relay and allows you to turn that specific item on with a toggle switch, as you can see, on and off. So in this case, we're plugging it into what I believe is a fan relay, right? Let's go ahead and turn it on. Oh, what do you know? The fans came on. Sounds like high speed to me. Let's check the relay right below it, which would be this one. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And we didn't get anything out of that one. Let's check this one, because like I said, this relay is also associated with the fans. Let's see what happens. And nothing. Alright, so let's put this one back. Actually, let's go ahead and test this one while we're here. We know both of those failed. Seems like this one's gonna pass. You can see how it keeps testing it. Green light. Yep, this one's fine. Okay. So we'll just put this one right back where it belongs. So do we have any replacements that we could substitute? So even though that relay looks different, the one I grabbed from right here, I went ahead and popped it in right there. And we're going to control the fans from the scanner here. You can see I'm trying to control the high speed. Let's just see if it works. I heard it click. And yes, it does work. Turn it off. Okay, that's good. Now let's put this same exact relay in the slot right below it and see if we could get the low speed fan to work. Actually, let's just go ahead and turn on the high speed one more time, see what it does with that relay. That's interesting. So whether the relay is in this spot or in this spot, it still turns on the high speed. Okay, so let's go over to the low speed here. I heard a relay click, but no fan. Maybe it requires both of these. So guys, I don't know what I'm stealing relays from. Thanks, Ford. Not labeling anything, but don't worry, we're gonna put them back. Okay, so now both of the fan relays are populated with what we are assuming known good relays. Let's try the low speed once again. And nothing. Alright, so I can't get the low speed fan to turn on, but it's kind of hard to tell if there's still something else going on here because we are stealing relays from somewhere else. And like if you remove these relays, nothing will happen. It turns off all kinds of crap. I'm guessing one of these is for the PCM. So I found some more information online. So basically this is our starter relay, so we can't steal that. This is going to be our blower motor. This is going to be our PCM, and this is going to be run start. So out of all of these, the only one we can steal is the blower motor, which still kind of sucks because what I want to try is once the car is running, if we turn on the AC, does it kick on the fans? It should. Remember, she had an issue with she couldn't use her AC because every time she tried to use the AC, it would increase temperature, and then it would just put the car into low power mode. So we kind of need a spare relay. I went looking on my F-150 for a relay, and that thing's a joke. There's no freaking relays anywhere. It's just like Ford garbage. All right, so I got the car running. Let's go ahead and move over this relay. We'll turn on the AC. Okay, max AC. I could feel it starting to cool off. Let's see if it's turning on the fans. No. Which kind of makes sense because turning on the AC is supposed to turn on low speed fan. High speed fan turns on when the car is starting to overheat. So, oh, there goes the fan. So I'm not sure the logic behind it, but basically it's not turning on low speed. All it's doing is turning on high speed, but for a small amount of time. I wonder if that's enough to keep this car from overheating. So what I'm going to do is let's close the hood, and I want to test drive this car and give it a really good shakedown and make sure, number one, that the car does not overheat. That is the biggest issue here. And obviously if we can avoid the overheating, then we can avoid the low power mode. And if the AC stays running, that's just a plus. And basically this woman would just need, well, we already know she needs 2 relays, and we know it's gonna fix the fan issue. I'm just trying to see if there's a trick to getting the slow speed fan to activate, you know, without having to dive into this deeper, because I don't want to do it, guys. Frankly, I feel like I'm done with this car. So yeah, let me lock the hood. We'll go out for a test drive. So I took the relay out of here while the car is running and moved it into the other relay slot for the fans, and now the fan is staying on, but it's the other fan. So before we had that fan over there turning on and off, I should say, and now by moving the relay, the fan down there is currently running and it's staying on. I got a feeling that if we had both of these relays in here working, both of the fan relays, I got a feeling that all of the functions on the fan are going to be working. Because you got to keep in mind, these fans are computer controlled. That's why there's only a power and a ground going to each fan. It's all controlled by the computer. So I think if we could get both of the relays inside of both of the fan slots, I think the ECM is going to be happy seeing that both of the relays are working, and it could do its job at balancing between low and high speed. I got a pretty good feeling that they're going to work properly if we could get two good working relays. Alright guys, so I don't have much more time with the car. The owner's on her way to pick it up. I told her what's wrong with it, and the fact that if we move the relay from one spot to another, it activates the other fan. I do have a pretty good feeling that if both relays were in there and working, then the ECM, PCM, whatever you want to call it, would see that the fans are functioning properly, and it will control the low and the high speed. Since you can see it only has a ground and a power going to each fan, that means it has to be like controlled by the PCM, you know, under like a pulse width modulated system. You get what I'm saying? That's how it controls the low and the high speed, but it wants to see both of them functioning properly before it will control the low speed. I bet you that's what's going on here. Anyway, you can see it's about 80 degrees today. I know you can see right there in the bottom. So it's a relatively warm day. I've been driving the car for about 15 minutes, and the temperature gauge is rock solid in the center. It has not moved up a bit. Dead in the center where it should be, and the AC has been on max the whole time. It is ice cold inside of here. So I would say, yep, that's a fix. Go get some new relays. I'm gonna suggest that she goes to the dealer to get original relays, because I just don't like the crap that comes from these auto parts stores. But that's gonna be a fix, guys. And I know this is one of those videos that people are like, well, that took you forever, what a bunch of waste of time only for bad relays. Well, this is sometimes how it goes, and especially when you don't have access to wiring diagrams or anything, you just have to take the long route and just kind of test and check things and go from there. You get what I'm saying? If I had the wiring diagram that shows me which exact are the relays for the fan, there is no doubt that I would have went first thing to go check those relays. You get what I'm saying? And it really could have shortened down this whole diagnosis and repair, but that wasn't the case. The reality of it is, the average person, this is how they would attempt to fix a car, because not everyone's gonna have access to wiring diagrams and stuff like that. I know you could get it relatively cheap from All Data, like DIY, for I think it's like 20 bucks, but still, I'm just trying to show that it is possible to do a repair without having that stuff. Having all the neat tools and wiring diagrams and subscriptions, all it does is streamline the process and make everything very quick. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and like always, thanks for watching.